What's happening, gang? You are live back on The Secret Stash. I'm your host, Jesse Ibanez, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group, helping folks move into and out of homes and getting some loans in between and moving those people with purpose. That's what we're doing right down here in the heart of San Diego. You can check us out at thegreenhousegroupinc.com. And by the way, we've got some featured properties on the site right now, which might have your name on it. You can check up on the top right part of the screen right there. We've got 2 or 3 properties right now that I can't believe are still out there, ready for some suitors. One up in Forest Ranch, one down in Spring Valley. It's actually a brand new flip, and you know you can get some good money, some good traction on your dollar down in Spring Valley. So be sure to check that out by checking us out at thegreenhousegroupinc.com. I'm in the studio live right now with my man Jeremy Beck. He is the mortgage planning extraordinaire of San Diego County.
MPE.
That just happened, by the way. You just got anointed
Again.
King of the whole county, apparently, for what you do. Well, maybe not quite, but definitely the king of Stash Nation, frequent guest in on the panel. And we're talking about the state of the union right now. This is a monthly show we like to do to kind of catch up with stats, get all statumified to help kind of tell a story about where we are right now. And the one theme right now, which is just ringing so true, it's happening month after month, is that first-time buyers are dominating the buying spectrum. There's a catch, though, and it's about these millennials. These millennials.
Kids these days.
You know, getting out of college and trying to get into home ownership. There was a recent stat, and I don't have this. I apologize. I can't state the source because I caught this actually over the intranets. Mm-hmm. But apparently there was a study that was done where they found that the current millennials know less about home ownership than any generation before them that they had studied. So there's like a drop off. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they just watched their parents go through some stuff, and their parents kind of became disenfranchised, lost the romance, so to speak, with the home ownership game and didn't pass that on immediately right now. So now millennials, first-time buyers, are in a situation where there's less information being transferred down to them, and it's creating uncertainty, fear, scarcity, and it's preventing them from taking. It's one of the things you might say that's preventing them from taking the step. Here's some others, though. 50% of people, and now this is part of the stats, this is actually from the Federal Reserve, 50% of people said that they don't think they can afford the down payment. 31% of people think they cannot qualify for a mortgage. Here's the kicker, though. Okay, I'm setting you up for this. I want to hear your take on this. 2/3 of people surveyed believed that they need a very good credit score to buy a home. Now, what they thought was very good credit score was 780 FICO.
Yeah. That's I think what's qualified as an excellent credit score.
Yeah. You'd be picking right off the top of rates with that.
Top 15 to 20% of people.
And how low can you go? How low can you go?
I knew that was coming.
How low can you go? You have to say it over the top of the song.
There's actually a broad spectrum of rates, but I mean, pretty readily as low as 580. And depending on what's bringing you down there, credit's not the hugest challenge that we overcome.
Yeah, and we're watching a little bit loosening up on the purse strings for stuff like this, coming out of all the lenders getting super scared by what happened. Everybody lost the money. They got left holding the bill, so to speak, starting to kind of get a little bit more liberal, and so we're watching that. They're starting to have more make sense stuff when it comes to even something hard and fast like FICO.
Right.
So the other side of that, right? So everybody thinks you need a 780 FICO score to get in. You mentioned you could go down to 580. You might think, oh, well, go down to 580. You're going to need, a huge down payment to make that happen.
Right.
Not so true. But here's the truth, Jer. Here's the stat you might say. Consumers also overestimate the down payment funds needed to qualify for a home loan, with 36% of people thinking 20% down is always required.
Right. I hear it all the time. Still, people call up and they say, "Man, I just don't have the down payment." And I talk to them. What do you think is your target purchase price? What do you have in the bank? And they have it. Because you can, with an FHA loan, you do as little as 3.5% down. First-time homebuyer programs can allow for grants that'll bridge that maybe to nothing. VA loans, nothing. Conventional loans, 3% down plus down payment assistance program. We're talking about down payment cannot be your hurdle.
And there's even actually Fannie products that can go down to 3% now
Yep.
with lender-paid MI, no less. So, and here's this is gonna build on your point right now. So, the share of low down payment home loans are increasing. In last month alone, 29% of home loans for first mortgages were made with less than 3% down. What's that tell you?
Yeah. Well, the word's getting out a little bit, and people are starting to utilize these programs. But I think what happens is people self-select, and they're sitting on the sideline because of what they think they know. Again, picking up the phone, talking to somebody like me, for example, getting in and having a conversation, even if you think it's not feasible. I'm going to tell you that most of the people who actually raise their hand and talk to me, within 12 months, they're buying a home. Not because I'm making it so, but because they had a misconception as to what it's going to take.
And then they get a plan. Right. And by the way, how would somebody go ahead and do that? Maybe that's a good opportunity for you to drop how they get in touch with you if they want to.
Well, thanks for asking, Jesse.
Yeah.
One good way is my direct line, 858-863-0262.
Say that again.
858-863-0262.
Okay, good. And they can find you down online in case they want to do some
Obviously.
voyeuring in on you. I know you've got a weekly video blog that seems to get a lot of hits and a lot of laughs over at thegreenhousegroupinc.com. So here's another stat to kind of back this up. So average FICO score. You heard me say earlier that most people think you need over a 780 to even get a loan in the first place. Okay? So average FICO score for, a typical first-time buyer type of program, 688.
Yeah.
Now, that's still a little high. I mean, because, at 680 is still an excellent credit score. It's not 700s, but still, it's like you're probably not going to have a lot of adjustments to your rate, if any at all, at 688, are you?
Well, FHA treats it differently than conventional. So that's an excellent question. And what people assume is that lower credit score, say in the 600s, the mid 600s, is still decent. And FHA does not penalize you for credit score like conventional loans do. So that's why a lot of people end up defaulting into FHA, is because they need that flexibility without getting penalized on their rate.
So 36% of renters they took this pool from the 168 of like the large metro areas, okay? With 2014 price data, could afford a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on a medium priced home in their areas, assuming only a 5% down payment. 36% of renters, remember, go back to the beginning, that almost all 81% of renters said that they would buy if they could, but they didn't think they could afford it. So 36% of renters, going back to last year's data, in all 168 major markets, could afford a 30-year fixed mortgage with only 5% down.
Now, that's according to the Joint Center of Housing Studies at Harvard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not like a Facebook poll that somebody put up.
I think I wrote that.
Yeah. So, and this is key because, if you're looking at this from the, we talked about the millennials, 25 to 30-year-old age group, the share is even higher. It's almost half. It's like 42%. So, this is, I guess, you might kind of distill this down a little bit. I know this is supposed to be like a state of the market right now, but I mean, this right now is the state of our market. And we're spending a lot of time on this whole concept. Even though millennials still make up over half of all the purchases that are taking place right now in our market, local and actually otherwise, we still got a huge gap to fill. And just an understanding that you don't need 20% down. I know it feels like such an old concept by now because we've been working through this over the last 15 years and working with our clients, but also you don't need a lot of money.
Yeah.
And over almost half, I should say, of the people who want to own right now, who are renters, actually could have. And they're getting in the way of themselves.
So what you're talking about is perceived barriers, and I think that's an important concept. The other side of that coin might be what you're talking about, familial knowledge, right? The dinner table. Like, are they scared of owning? And that's the other half of the people that I meet. They say the most important thing to them. So one of the things we go through a discovery phase in their mortgage planning consultation, the most important thing to them is that they don't overcommit and they don't get themselves in trouble.
Hallelujah.
I love getting the bell.
Yeah.
So that is a key factor, and I think, and where does that come from? That doesn't come from your max pre-approval. That comes from an analysis of what's important to you. And that takes a little bit of extra time, and it takes someone sitting down and thinking about it with you.
Say one more thing about that so that we're not staying up in the ethereal base. Like, I hear someone say what's important to you. It's kind of like, it just kind of gets washed out a little bit. Like, what's that really mean?
Yeah. And so someone in my position needs to take the time to ask the most important questions, and not just a series of questions that are on a sheet, but actually explore them in person, face to face with someone in a consultation. And that unbelievably explodes out all the different things that are kind of under the surface. Like I might see somebody and the way they act and the way they answer a question, and the words are one thing, but it's something else. And if I take the risk of talking to them about that, we can uncover some things, and some of those are fear, insecurity. My dad lost his home. Like I hear it all the time, and then you can create a plan, create a mortgage that is suitable for them.
You mentioned something a second ago, and I want to use it as a riff because you said scared.
Yeah.
You said fear.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. We're kind of riffing on. It's almost like a head scratcher so far. Of our state of the market roundup right now for August, because we're looking at the fact that even though first-time buyers represent the large majority of purchases right now, or the simple majority, I should say, of purchases right now, there's still a huge gap or a, as you called it, I think, a perceived notion right now that we need to get around. So on one side, you could be like, okay, well, big deal, no harm, no foul, they'll come around. Well, here's where it gets nasty real quick. If you look at the history of where the rates are, now this is your game. I'm speaking on your platform right now. You go back to 1990, okay? It basically looks like a very similar pie chart with rates kind of bouncing up and down, up and down, kind of down, and then literally falls off the face of the earth, which, basically met its lowest point in about 2012, 2013, but is only slightly higher from that point right now. So here's where it's nasty. If you think of where the monthly mortgage payment is today from, like, let's say the peak of around 2006, which is an interesting note because everybody says that we're back to prices of about 2006, like pre-bust.
Yeah.
We're actually going to talk about that a little later in the show. The average monthly mortgage payment in 2006 in its peak, which, by the way, was the highest ever since going back in 1990, was $1,305. $1,305. Okay, that's where the rates were. Because remember, the prices were about the same. Average monthly mortgage payment right now, $808.
Yeah.
Bro. Right? So how is that literally a directly proportional affect to a first-time buyer?
Well, purchase power, obviously, right? What's our adage? $50 a month is $10,000 in purchase power. Pretty substantial jump there from $1,300 or $1,100 to $800.
And just play that out. So let's say what the average median price right now is about $500,000. So let's say you're lucky enough to be hunting around $500,000 right now, and the rates go back and reset to what they were in 2006 standards. That difference is what, $500?
$500.
So what's that difference in purchase power?
$100K. 10 times 10.
Yeah. You want to know how fun that is when you're out looking around at $500,000 homes and all of a sudden the rates bump up and now you're in the $400,000 category. Right. That's about as much fun as death at a birthday party.
In your experience, do sellers lower their selling price expectation because rates went up?
I mean, only the ones that have to.
Yeah.
They only sell and the rest of them just kind of go by the wayside. And inventory is already a problem, which we're going to get to in a second. So as you can see, gang, there's a reason why. We got Jeremy Beck in the house today, mortgage planner extraordinaire from the Greenhouse Group. And by the way, you can catch him for his mortgage plan free consultation down at the Greenhouse Group by calling him directly at 858-863-0263 or going down and checking him out, voyeuring in, looking at see what people are saying behind his back online at thegreenhousegroupinc.com. So coming up, gang, this is the State of the Union right now. State of our local market union. We'll call this the August 2015 update. Now that we got this table set, the stage lined up and blocked, we're going to get into the 5 reasons you would sell right now and the 4 reasons you actually want to buy right now. This is the Stash, baby. We'll be right back. Real Talk Radio San Diego.